Okay, this one I'm doing off the cuff because this is just too interesting to take the time to script. I just need to get this out there while it's all in my head. So for those of you that don't know, Call of Duty released an update. It's kind of hard for me to decide if this is genuine and uplifting or reassuring, or if this is just sad, but they basically acknowledge that Black Ops 7 is a steaming pile of crap. Then they try to incorporate some marketing BS by saying, hey, you'll have an opportunity to play it for free, so decide for yourself if it's bad or not. This is basically them trying to compensate for the fact that their sales are so incredibly abhorrent that they feel that the incredibly low ratings that this game is getting, by the way, it's at a 2.9 on IMDb, the worst rated Call of Duty of all time by a wide margin. It reads like they think that maybe all of the people that would give it a positive review just didn't want to shell out the money for it. So they're providing an opportunity for people to play it for free, hoping to rebound there, whatever. They say they're committed to unprecedented seasonal support, blah, 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 same BS we've always heard. But this is the section that really stood out to me. And this is something that I've been clamoring for, and a lot of people have been clamoring for ever since Modern Warfare 3, the 2023 edition. Said we will no longer do back-to-back releases of Modern Warfare or Black Ops games. The reasons are many, but the main one is to ensure we provide an absolutely unique experience each and every year. We will drive innovation that is meaningful, not incremental, blah, 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 blah. Please continue buying our crappy games. So this got me thinking, what are the correlations between the dev cycles and the studio rotations? And, you know, this is not a new thought. We've all been kind of mulling this in our heads. Like, what is the perfect recipe? Is it a 2-year cycle, a 3-year cycle, multiple studios, one studio with all of the control? And then that kind of got me going. So I put together this spreadsheet with all of the main Call of Duty titles, the year it was released, the era the game takes place in. So I broke this down to World War II, modern or current, Cold War, near future, and future. And there's some that kind of blur the lines a little bit, but for the most part, I feel like I was pretty honest and reasonable in how I allocated these. So we've got the era the game takes place in. Then I provided the IMDb rating. This is one of my favorite rating sources because it is directly based on user feedback. It's not an IGN review or, you know, some other crap where people could be paid off, or, you know, we don't need to get into the whole Ryan McCaffrey Alien Isolation BS. So I think that this is a pretty solid benchmark for the overall quality and reception of a game. Then I put who the primary studio developer was, if they were the sole developer, and if they were not the sole developer, who the other credited developers are. And I based that on the Call of Duty fandom. So if this is not accurate, then my sheet's not accurate, whatever. So I took all that data, and at first I was like, okay, I can make a pivot table and, you know, come up with like averages and whatnot. That's super cool. But then I realized we have this super neat thing called AI. So I took my spreadsheet and I loaded it into the new ChatGPT 5.1 model. I uploaded my spreadsheet with the following prompt: using the attached data, I want you to perform an analysis on Call of Duty games and the factors that correlate with the game being successful. What studio overall makes the best games on average based on IMDb rating? What era of games perform the best? And any correlations between the number of years between a specific studio's release and the game's ratings, i.e. do short turnaround times decrease the rating, and anything else you find interesting. Feel free to perform additional online research as necessary. I want your response in written form with charts, graphs, sheets as necessary to illustrate. Now, the model thought for over 4 minutes on this. This is one of the longest times I've seen ChatGPT take to process something. And here's everything that it analyzed. You know, it's analyzing the Call of Duty game success factors, blah, 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 blah. It's planning studio performance analysis, all this good stuff. There's a lot that went into this. Anywho, the result is what I found super interesting. So we've got all these charts and graphs here, but the meat and potatoes of it is, number one, which studio makes the best COD on average? So the average IMDb rating by studio, Infinity Ward takes the top slot with an average of 7.97 over 9 games. Spark Unlimited had one entry for Finest Hour, older entry. Most of you are probably aren't even familiar with it. They got a 7. Treyarch over 10 games has averaged a 6.9, and Sledgehammer Games over 4 games averaged a 6.6. So the takeaways: Infinity Ward is the MVP by a clear margin. They own 4 of the top 5 highest rated games in COD history. So that includes Modern Warfare, the original one, at a 9.0, the only one to breach into the nines. Modern Warfare 2, this is the original one, at an 8.8. And Call of Duty 1 and 2, the games that kicked off the franchise, both with an 8.5. Treyarch looks worse than it feels because Black Ops 7 absolutely nosedived. So Treyarch's full average is a 6.9. However, if we take out Black Ops 7's 2.9 rating, they come out at a 7.34. You can see that I've trained ChatGPT to use my vernacular, saying that the 2.9 is like a tactical nuke on their stats. Now, Sledgehammer has the most volatile record. They peaked with World War II, which got a 7.7. And in my opinion, that is a fantastic game. And they dipped hard with Vanguard at a 6.1. I honestly think that rating is pretty generous. I thought Vanguard was a terrible game. And then Modern Warfare 3 with a 5.4, which again, I think is pretty generous for that game. See, this lines up with the broader critic user reactions to those games on Metacritic, where World War II is praised as a return to form, while Modern Warfare 3 is slammed as glorified DLC. We all know this to be true. So short version, on average, if you're betting on one studio just from this data set, Infinity Ward makes the best games. Treyarch is second, especially pre-BO7, and Sledgehammer is trailing. So the next one is what era of COD games perform the best. So again, with my categories of World War II, modern, Cold War, future, and near future, the average IMDb rating by era shows the following. Modern or current time frame games perform the best with an average of 7.85, with Cold War coming close second at 7.63. World War II is a close third at 7.56. Future games are a distant fourth at 6.5. And then near future games, ironically, are what completely tank it at a 5.87. So the interpretation is that modern era games are king. COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, MW 2019, MW2, MW3. The early Modern Warfare stretch is especially stacked. Cold War and classic World War II are also strong performers. World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 6, and COD 1 and 2. The World War II stuff all sit in that consistently good band. Now, the future, near future games is where it's the most divisive. Future era, we have Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, and BO4. Those average out at a 6.5. Near future games, BO2, Ghosts, Black Ops 7, sinks to a 5.87, dragged down brutally by BO7's 2.9 rating. Now, this matches the broader pattern in public reception. Grounded eras like World War II, modern but gritty, tend to review better, while more experimental, futuristic settings have spikier responses. I like that, spikier. Okay, so 3, the real world release windows. When was the golden age? So pinning down the releases into 5-year windows, from 2003 to 2007, the Call of Duty games averaged a 7.92 rating, with 6 games falling into that time period. 2008 to 2012 saw 5 games being released with an average of 8.32. 2013 to 2017, 5 games at a 6.98. 2018 to 2022, 5 games with a 6.9. And 2023 to 2025, 3 games with an average rating of 5.2. So from the rating over time line chart plus this table, 2008 to 2012 is the clear golden age of Call of Duty. That's World at War, Modern Warfare 2, the original, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, the first one, and Black Ops 2. Insanely consistent +8 ratings across the board. And then quality declines after 2013. This we all know. Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, BO3, Infinite Warfare, BO4, Vanguard, MW3, the new one, Black Ops 7, those all pull down the later averages. And overall, there's a moderately strong negative correlation between release year and IMDb rating. So later games trend lower, even though there are bright spots like MW 2019 and Black Ops 6. So do short turnaround times hurt quality? Here's the fun part. So ChatGPT calculated that for each game, how many years since the studio's last COD, coined as Gap Years Studio, then looks at the ratings versus gap. And you can see a pattern in the scatter plot, ratings versus years since previous release per studio. Average rating by gap length. So ignoring the first game from each studio because they don't have a previous title. There were 2 games that had a 1-year turnaround and they averaged a 5. There were 10 games that had a 2-year turnaround and they averaged 7.83. 6 games with a 3-year turnaround averaging a 7.05, and 2 games with a 4-year turnaround averaging 6.70. So the 1-year gaps, obviously to no one's surprise, are really rough. Now there's only 2 data points, but they're very telling. COD 3, Treyarch released that 1 year after they released Big Red 1. Black Ops 7, Treyarch released 1 year after Black Ops 6 at a 2.9. The average is 5.0. For those of you wondering, the newer MW3 does not count because MW3 was not actually developed by Infinity Ward. We'll get to that. So for 2-year performance, we're looking best overall. This bucket includes the absolute bangers: MW1, MW2, MW3, BO1, BO2, World at War, etc. They average out to a 7.83, the highest of any cadence. 3 to 4 year gaps do not actually guarantee better games. The 3-year gaps house Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, World War II, BO4, MW 2019, which is a mixed bag that averages 7.05, still respectable, and obviously there's some good games in there. Whereas the 4-year gaps give us Vanguard and Black Ops 6, which is an average of 6.7, Vanguard being absolutely terrible, BO6 overall, I think retrospectively being a pretty decent game. So when you look at the raw correlation between gap length and rating across all studios, it's basically near zero. So there's no strong linear relationship overall. But the pattern that you can see is that there is definitely a sweet spot with a 2-year cycle per studio, with 1-year follow-ups being dog shit. And that lines up really well with the real-world backlash to back-to-back same sub-series releases like MW2 to MW3, BO6 to BO7, where critics and players called them rushed and incremental. Activision apparently noticed this too, because again, getting back to that blog post that I mentioned at the beginning, they're putting a stop to the back-to-back Modern Warfare Black Ops releases. So studio-specific cadence versus quality. So to zoom in quickly, Infinity Ward, gaps mostly 2 years early on, then 3 years later. The trend, early big hits, COD 1, COD 2, basically they kicked off the entire franchise, and then Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2. Then they slump with Ghosts and Infinite Warfare, then rebound with MW 2019. Correlation between gap and rating for Infinity Ward alone is moderately negative, i.e. more time did not always help them. The shorter 2-year gaps gave us some of the best games ever, which I find interesting. Now, Treyarch, the gaps jump all around. A 1-year gap, 2-year, 3, 3, 2, 4, and then 1. And the correlation is weakly positive, but the real story is a very strong run from World at War through Black Ops 2. Big drop with Black Ops 4, slight recovery with Black Ops Cold War and BO6, and then a cliff dive with BO7 with only a 1-year turnaround. Sledgehammer games, they went from a 3 to 4 to 2-year gap. The ratings fall pretty consistently over time. 7.2, slight increase to 7.7, and then down to 7 or 6.1, and then plummeting to 5.4. So even with more time, they had 4 years before Vanguard, the quality still tanked. So the bottom line on cadence, the dataset supports a don't rush it to 1-year stance, but it does not show that longer equals better. Team direction, design quality, and originality matter more than raw time. Not really surprised to anyone, but it's cool to actually see the data support that. So other little nuggets from the data: sole developer versus co-developed. I flagged that some games had a sole developer while others had supporting studios. 21 of the games were developed by one studio with an average rating of 7.24. Surprisingly, the co-developed games, of which there are 3, the average was higher at 7.37, this being Big Red 1, Modern Warfare 3, and Ghosts. The difference is tiny and the sample is small, so there's no real evidence that more studios automatically help or hurt quality, but I just find that super interesting. Okay, so here's the extremes, best and worst in the sheet. Top of the pile, the original Modern Warfare, 9.0 by Infinity Ward. Modern Warfare 2 by Infinity Ward at an 8.8. Call of Duty 1 and 2 by Infinity Ward at an 8.5, and Black Ops 1 by Treyarch at an 8.4. Bottom of the barrel, Black Ops 7, Treyarch. Modern Warfare 3, Sledgehammer. See, like I mentioned earlier, Infinity Ward did not actually develop Modern Warfare 3, the 2023 version. It was Sledgehammer Games. Black Ops 4, Treyarch again at a 5.4, Vanguard, Sledgehammer again at a 6.1, and then Infinite Warfare being one of the poorer performing Infinity Ward games at a 6.4. So big picture summary, putting it all together, the best studio on average across the board is Infinity Ward by a comfortable margin. They own most of the all-time highs. The best era setting is modern era games. They typically perform the best, followed closely by Cold War era and then World War II. The futuristic near-future entries are the weakest on average. Recent backlash to MW3 and BO7 puts Activision's public promise to stop back-to-back MW-BO releases, shows they're reacting to the same pattern that this data also highlights. What I wanted, just as a cool exercise to tell me was, I gave it this prompt. Using this data, pretend you are the CEO of Activision. What directive would you issue to ensure the successful continuation of the franchise? Release cycle, studio assignment, era, etc. Okay. And again, you can see how I've trained my ChatGPT to think like me. It says, all right, putting on my CEO of Activision hat and pretending I don't immediately greenlight Candy Crush Warzone Edition. I thought that was kind of funny. All right, so here's the directive I would issue to the franchise based on the data that has been uploaded. So number 1, release cadence. No more glorified DLC years. Directive, we move from annual at all costs to a disciplined rotating schedule. 2-year minimum per studio. The data shows that games that follow a roughly 2-year gap per studio score the best, while 1-year turnarounds are where things completely fall apart. So, no studio ships a mainline COD less than 2 years after their previous one. 3 years is fine if needed. 1-year gaps are banned for premium releases. Still roughly 1 major COD every year, but smarter. The first year, Infinity Ward, mainline, a modern era game. Second year, Treyarch, mainline, a Black Ops Cold War era game. And then the third year is the off-year cycle, either a Sledgehammer special project or a premium expansion, a major campaign add-on clearly branded as such, not a fake full sequel. Kill the back-to-back same sub-brand pattern. No more Modern Warfare, or BO in consecutive years. Each brand gets time to breathe. Number 2, studio roles. Let people play to their strengths. The sheet makes it pretty clear who does what best. Infinity Ward is the flagship. So the mandate, they own the Modern Warfare line and core gunplay feel for the franchise. Cadence, 1 mainline Modern Warfare entry every 4 years, with 2 years of heavy post-launch support and 2 years in deeper development. Focus, grounded modern campaigns with tight cinematic design, establish baseline mechanics, animations, and tech the other teams can build on. Treyarch, the Black Ops and Zombies brain. Mandate, own Black Ops and long-term Zombies identity. The cadence, 1 mainline Black Ops entry every 4 years, alternating with Modern Warfare. The focus, espionage, mind-bending narrative, Cold War geopolitical paranoia. Zombies as a long-tail platform, but no more sacrificing campaign quality to chase mode sprawl. Experimental systems are fine, but era and tone need to stay grounded. Sledgehammer, the specialist and R&D studio. Their mandate is to lead 1 special ops style mainline spin-off every 5 to 6 years. Example, World War II, niche theaters, anthology style stories. Serve as a strike team for tech, tools, and live ops across Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and Warzone. Their focus is high polish, tightly scoped projects rather than rushed tentpoles. Remasters, campaign expansions, and experimental formats. Co-op campaigns, anthology episodes, etc. Number 3, the era strategy. Grounded first, weird second. So the data is blunt. Modern, Cold War, and World War II are consistently top tier. Future and near future are where scores crash. So the directive, core rotation is grounded. Infinity Ward does modern, Treyarch does Cold War and modern espionage, Sledgehammer does World War II. Okay. Near future is now an event, not the default. If we go back to exosuits or space, it must be a clearly marketed spin-off, not the main annual tentpole, and backed by a genuine design hook, not just jetpacks again. Internal rule of thumb, for every 3 grounded releases, at most 1 experimental setting, and only if it tests well in prototype form. Number 4, mode and content priorities. Campaigns matter again. Recent low-scoring titles correlate hard with weak or confused campaigns and identity crises. The directive. Number 1, every mainline COD must ship with a fully featured, self-contained campaign, 8 to 12 hours replayable beats. Multiplayer that feels evolutionary, not reskinned. And a clear hero experience, zombies, spec ops, or similar, that isn't just stapled on. Number 2, stop trying to be 3 games at once on a 1-year clock. Each release must have 1 clear marketing identity. This is an espionage thriller. This is a modern military blockbuster. This is the World War II Band of Brothers story. This is number 3. Warzone no longer dictates design of premium titles. Premium games can feed content into Warzone, but they are not Warzone's content farm. If a mechanic is good for Warzone, but bad for campaign multiplayer pacing, it stays in Warzone. Number 5, quality gate and greenlight rules. Delay it or do not ship it. This is the part future me will hate, but CEO me has to say it. Before any mainline title ships, it must pass the following. Number 1, internal quality bar. Cross-studio review from Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer leadership. If 2 out of the 3 say this feels like a glorified DLC, then they treat it like a glorified DLC or they delay it. Number 2, player council and closed beta scoring. Curated panel of longtime franchise players plus content creators. Yes, the ones who roast it. We track NPS satisfaction specifically on campaign quality, multiplayer map and mode variety, and feels like a full game versus expansion. Number 3, the hard rule. If these signals are bad, the solution is more time or repositioning, not ship it anyway and let marketing handle the heat. Number 6, monetization and reputation. Stop setting Twitter on fire. This isn't directly from the sheet, but it's the reality the games now live in. The directive. Number 1, no more $70 expansions pretending to be sequels. If something is built off the prior game's foundation with mostly reused assets, we sell it and market it as a major expansion at an expansion price. Full numbered sequel equals new campaign, significant new content footprint, and clearly new identity. Number 2, cosmetics can be weird. The game's tone cannot. Keep goofy cosmetics fenced into limited time mode playlists, optional cosmetic universes the player can toggle out of, and core playlists preserve some tonal cohesion, especially ranked and competitive play. And number 3, battle passes in stores must never feel mandatory. The battle pass, cosmetic and mild progression perks only. No blatant pay-to-win stat advantages. We've all seen how that movie ends. Number 7, the 5-year roadmap at high level. Just to crystallize it, here's how I would roughly structure the next cycle. This is again ChatGPT speaking as Activision CEO. Year 1, Infinity Ward, a Modern Warfare entry, flagship campaign, foundation for the next 3 years of mechanics. Year 2, Treyarch, Black Ops entry in a grounded Cold War modern hybrid setting with a deep narrative and zombies as a platform. Year 3, Sledgehammer Special Project, either World War II historical anthology or a major campaign expansion for either Modern Warfare or Black Ops branded as such. Year 4, Infinity Ward comes back around. The next Modern Warfare with a 4-year gap since their last, but 2 years of live service data to iterate on what people actually liked. Year 5, Treyarch, the next Black Ops, carefully scoped with narrative and zombies innovations validated early. Rinse, refine, but do not compress this unless we want another 2.9 out of 10. I don't know about you guys. I think that's absolutely freaking brilliant. I couldn't have come up with this better myself. Now, granted, I have very extensively trained this model to think like me. So a lot of these are sentiments that I have expressed previously, but I think that absolutely nailed it. So I'm curious, what do you think of Activision's announcement, their little blog post about their go forward plan? And what do you think about the findings of ChatGPT with this little bit of data that I gave it in this exercise in cosplaying as the CEO of Activision? I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, keep looting, keep shooting. I'll see you in the next one.